Good evening, everyone. Welcome to monthly. I'm loud enough. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our monthly meeting, Silicon Valley Engineering Leadership Community. Some of you I know been here since an hour and a half ago for the Academy event. So I tried to project this slide, but it didn't work. So let me just remind everyone. Some of you are new. Some of you already know this. So this is a regular monthly meeting. SV-ELC used to be known as Engineering Leadership SIG, SV Forum, so we go back quite a while. And what I would like actually to do is, instead of just repeating everything, let me see how many people are for the first time here tonight. Can you raise your hands? Okay, great. That's great. So keep your hands up. So I'd like to know, how did you hear about us? So. Okay, good.
I just heard from her this week at the MI Symposium, where I volunteer at, and I'm excited to be here to meet her.
Okay.
And also my friend Joy over there.
Okay, so personal connection, okay. Who else?
Mira.
Mita? Okay. Mita? Okay.
My friend is like Lisa, our friend Joy.
Oh, okay, excellent. So, Mita is working and networking works too. And actually, networking is one thing that is we're about. So one of the mottos that we have is we are in Silicon Valley where relationships last longer than jobs. Oh, sorry. Okay. I can see myself.
He's expressive.
Okay, so one of the mottos that we have is Silicon Valley is where relationships last longer than jobs. Probably resonates with most of us. And another one is it's aspirational. We want to become engineering leaders that we personally always want to work for. Right. So this is really what driving us for these meetings. We also have a YouTube channel, and you can find us on YouTube. And thanks to David, who is recording this.
Recording.
Yeah.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Kudos, thank you. This is, and actually, David, Rob, we are all volunteers. Co-chairs are volunteers, core team is volunteers, and we invite you to join us and help. So maybe, let me see, core team, can you raise the hands? Okay. Thank you. So if you want to join, please contact any of us, and we'd love to have you help us. So this is monthly meeting, so next month, there actually will be again two things. So at 5 p.m., the Academy will be, the title is Smart Pills, Dangerous Mistakes Engineering Leaders Make About Leadership. That will be led by Roy Terry. And the main feature will be at 6:30 p.m., like what we're doing now, is technical overview of blockchain, implications for practical usage by Sam Su. So, and
Sam really good.
okay. So Bruce is launching for, so you should come next. I mean, all these events I think are very good. So we enjoy this really nice facility, and I want to thank our sponsors, Varian, who actually provides this facility. So John Van Hetteren is one of the co-chairs. He's away tonight, but we do have co-host. Well, one of the co-hosts is Daniel Goleman. So Daniel, maybe what you can do is tell us a little bit about Varian. Our sponsors get opportunity to share something with their company.
Hi everybody, welcome to Varian. And our beautiful facility cafeteria. We have a wonderful auditorium next door. We don't talk about it much, but it's there. So we have a manufacturing facility for accelerators to treat cancer with radiation in the next building over there. We are number one in production of accelerators for cancer treatment. So that's our goal is to reach out as many patients as possible to treat cancer and cure them with our machines. So just if anybody's interested in any opportunity at Varian, check varian.com.
So just at the in December we have a Christmas party. It's kind of do a general get together, and John, who's not here, arranges for tours to go on over there. And it's a real manufacturing floor. It's actually wonderful. You don't see anything like this in the valley anymore. So if you want to come back and see some old school work going on, come to here in December, and you'll get a wonderful tour. Yeah.
So now we have incentives. Next month meeting, Bruce vouched for speaker, and Tom reminded us this is tradition. Holiday event includes the opportunity to see facilities. So I encourage everyone to join us. So we also have food sponsors. So tonight, actually, I think Varian is a double sponsor, providing food as well. Typically, we have additional sponsors, and then that's opportunity for company to essentially spread the word, to get opportunity to share something about what they are doing, increase their visibility. So I want to double thank Varian for tonight. Excellent. So tonight's talk is leadership styles for successful agile transformation, and Chris Sims will be presenting. So Chris is a certified Scrum trainer, Agile coach, recovering C++ developer, right? So we won't take it against you, right? So founder of Agile Learning Labs, author of a few books, and the meetup page contains details of the title of the book. But there is actually one thing that I wanted to kind of like ask Chris, because I noticed that before starting Agile Learning Labs, he made living in different roles, and some of them kind of like made sense. Scrum Master, Product Owner, Engineering Manager, right? But then there is also physician and auto mechanic. So I wonder how much actually those two roles influenced your agile thinking today. So I'll let you take it from here.
Excellent. Thank you. Good evening.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me. All right, I should probably answer that question. I think that being an auto mechanic taught me diagnostic skills, system diagnostic skills that helped me a lot as I embarked on my engineering career and kind of the leadership part of it, and being a Scrum Master and a coach. And I used to joke, but it really wasn't a joke, that I learned just about everything I needed to know to be an engineering manager from being a band leader. It was pretty much exactly the same, right? A bunch of really creative people, but you gotta somehow herd them together and get them all doing something that's coordinated for it to work. So tonight, leadership styles for a successful agile transformation. So who are leaders, right? This is like the engineering leadership community. So when I say the word leader, what do you hear? What do you think?
It could be any role, as long as they're kind of giving guidance, helping other people out.
So it could be, he says, it could be any role, so long as you're giving other people guidance and helping them out.
Leadership is not a manager, exactly a manager position.
Leadership does not equal management. You should like run an engineering leadership community or something. That was such a good answer. That was amazing. So could it be that you find yourself sitting at a table with other leaders? Well, some of you are, like you're not, which is really sad. For what we're about to do, you're going to want to be in table teams of 3 to 5 people. And you want your table to have some flip chart paper, and handouts for everybody, the little paper clipped handouts, and a Sharpie for each person as well. And if your table doesn't have 3 to 5 people and those supplies, rearrange a little bit so that that is true. There are tables over here that no one's sitting at, they have supplies, you can poach them. And if you just need more, come see me, I've got more. And then as you're settling in to your table of 3 to 5 leaders, I invite you to take a really short time box and find out who's there. So everybody gets about 10 seconds. I'm going to give you like a 1-minute time box for this, and share. What's your name? What do you do? When your table has done that, you've heard from each person at your table, wave your hands like crazy so I know your table is ready. And go. All right. So now we know what we're going to be going through this adventure with. So if you look through the handouts you have, one of them is going to be a handout that lists some scenarios. And each scenario is based around a particular leader. We've got Cindy, the CEO, Tom, the tech lead, Skylar, the scrum master, Milan, the middle manager. And if you don't like any of those, you are free to go off the board for 50 points and use a real life scenario that one of you is facing right now. But take a moment, read through those scenarios, and then at your table decide which of these seems most interesting and relevant for your group to explore. Which one do you think would be most interesting to dig into, diagnose, and kind of play around with over the course of the rest of the workshop? So I'll give you about a minute or so when you've picked a scenario. Wave your hands like you just don't care. Each table is going to pick one scenario that they're going to focus on. Raise your hand if your table has not picked a scenario yet. You're still deadlocked. All right, so we've picked a scenario. Excellent. All right. Okay, this is where we get all serious and businessy and MBA-like.
Which one do you think?
So, we're still working?
Cindy? I think this one is actually.
How many tables have picked their scenario? How many tables have not picked their scenario? How many tables have people with no hands? Okay, so I'm moving forward. So, what we're going to be diving into a little bit is some stuff that came out of this research that was summarized in the Harvard Business Review, right? Daniel Goleman, leadership that gets results. Goleman, I'm not sure. And this was kind of a big deal. This made a big splash, and pretty widely respected. And one of the things that was like central to this bit was that there were these 6 different styles of leadership that they kind of uncovered, right? They classified these 6 different styles. This is like the Myers-Briggs of leadership. And some of them have names that sound really warm and fuzzy, right? Especially if you're like an Agile person like me, right? Like, oh, coaching, like coaching. Democratic, oh, that sounds warm and fuzzy. Coercive, oh, that sounds bad. And it turns out they're just different. This is not like one of those progressions where you have to climb up the ladder and your goal is to get to, no, they're just different styles, right? And so, yeah, I'll give you a real quick overview of each style. You also have this information in a handout at your table, so you'll have it to take away after the workshop. But basically, coercive, all right? This is all about we gotta get this done, right? Hey, everybody, we gotta get this done right now or bad things happen. And it turns out that there are situations where this is actually really effective and useful and appropriate. If the building's on fire, probably like calling a meeting to try to get everybody on the same page and check in with our motivations and see if we can get alignment is probably not the right way to lead in that situation, right? It's probably like, hey, everybody, get out the door, that door now, no leave your laptops behind, just do it. And so that's the coercive leadership style. Pace setting, this is all about like the rock star who became a leader, right? This is the person who does the hands-on job better than anyone else. I'm looking at Llewellyn right now. If you don't know Llewellyn Falco, ladies and gentlemen, this is Llewellyn Falco, world-renowned technical coach. And he's the kind of guy who is so good at doing the hands-on work that he leads by example, right? And people just like want to keep up with him. Because they're like, oh my God, he's doing so much, he's doing it so well, I want to be like that, right? So that's the pace-setting leadership style. Then there's authoritative. And this is all about being an expert, right? You lead from a position of authority. People respect your ideas and directions because they really believe that you know what you're talking about, right? They see you as an authority figure. They're like, oh yeah, we should call that person, they're like the smartest person, or at least in this area. Right? Affiliative. This is all about building community, right? An affiliative leader is really great at creating alliances and getting people to like want to work together and to see, the connections. It's all about the people and the connections. And there's democratic, right? And this is the person who really believes that, there's a lot of collective intelligence here, and if we hear from every voice, the group will make the right decision. And so it's really about making sure that we hear from everybody and kind of go in the direction that is, the one that is perhaps most popular. And then finally, the coaching leader. And this style is all about giving people feedback and guidance along the path that they are choosing, but not so much like setting the direction, more about like, I'm going to give you feedback and be a mirror so that you will figure out what the right thing for you is. So those are the styles. So now your assignment is at your table, you've read your scenario, you've picked it, you're going to be working with this leader. What do you think? It turns out each of us has a default leadership style. Like our go-to style is one of these styles. For the leader you're going to be working with, I'll give you a couple of minutes to discuss and decide, what do you think their default leadership style is? Are they coercive, pace-setting, authoritative, affiliative, democratic, or coaching? So 2 minutes and pick a style that you really believe would be their default style. All right, how many tables have picked the default leadership style of their leadership persona? All right, and I'm really curious because the table back here was actually using a very democratic approach. What did you come up with for the style of your leader?
3 of us said affiliative and 1 said democratic. But what I saw in the word is the one that earned respect from peers, and then I saw an affiliative that fosters loyalty. They seem to be
okay. So affiliative, good. All right, has any table not decided what their default leadership style is for their leader? Okay, this is a table full of Agile coaches over here.
That's true.
Well, and being true coaches and consultants, right, they're probably like, well, what do you need it to be? Oh, no. Actually, you know what they're saying? They're consultants. It depends. Right, that's what we say. All right, so those are the leadership styles from leadership that gets results. And I would recommend, like at some point, go read that article because it's really awesome and it's based on some really good research. And now we're going to shift gears. So we've got our leader, we've decided what we believe their default leadership style is, and so now we're going to shift gears, and we're going to throw in some new work by a different kind of respected person. How many people have heard of Virginia Satir? Anybody? Oh, yeah. So Virginia Satir was this like family counselor who created some really groundbreaking kind of theories and approaches. And then Weinberg, what was his first name? Help me out. Jerry Weinberg and some of his followers kind of famously adapted it for use in organizations and found out like a lot of these patterns that Virginia had found were happening in family systems were actually happening in workplace systems. And so what we're going to look at is something that's often called the Satir Change Model. And it's basically walking through like what happens for individuals or groups of individuals as we deal with change. And so the change curve looks something like this. On the vertical axis, we're looking at performance, however you're defining or measuring that. Right? What is it? You know, performance is the thing we want more of. Okay, that'll go on the x-axis, or y-axis rather. And then time, right along the x-axis. And it looks like this. There's the shape of the curve, and it's got some kind of named regions. So initially we're chugging along, we're doing what we always do, we call it status quo, right? This is just how things are done around here. And then somebody has this brilliant idea that we should like change. Like maybe somebody says, oh, we should do Scrum. Oh yeah, what a great idea. And immediately everything gets better, right? No, right, that's a different curve. We fall into chaos is what happens, right? So we introduce the change and just everything's a mess. People don't know where they fit in. Things are going slower. We don't understand. There's conflict. It's messy. That's because there's people involved. It turns out we're the source of the mess. And then there's this moment of transformation. And the moment of transformation is basically that point where those of us trying to adjust and adapt to this change see how the new ideas actually do align with what we're trying to achieve. We have that aha moment of like, oh, I see it now. I see how we can use this new approach, and it is going to make things better. I see it. I get it. That's like the moment of transformation. And then everything gets better. Right, Kimberly? Now things actually still keep getting worse, but the chaos abates. And then the next section is practice and integration. Right, so now we've kind of figured out how this should work. And okay, we've got to work with it a while, get some practice, get some learning. And eventually, if the change was a good idea, finally we stabilize and we're not thinking about the change anymore, right? Like if we were adopting Scrum, eventually we stopped talking about Scrum. It's just how we work here, right? We don't have to talk about it anymore. And we're now at a new status quo. If the change was a good idea, it's now at a higher level of performance, whatever it was that we were hoping to get. So that is the shape of the model. So what you were going to do is, John, what do you got?
Was Virginia Satir the first time lord of the modern era? She knows how to make time go backwards.
Is time going backwards?
It's representing chaos, John. You're taking it to the room.
Oh, yeah, okay, I see that. I see what you have.
So you just need to flip it 90 degrees.
Engineers. So, now wait, Varian, you guys do like particle physics stuff, right? I'm pretty sure somewhere in there time is going backwards or at least slowing down or speeding up for at least some of those particles. Anyway, so what you're about to do is you're going to get, all artistic, and you are going to reproduce this model on the big piece of flip chart paper that you've got. So you're going to draw that curve and you're going to label the bits. So, go! All right, looks like most of my teams have their curve drawn. Next thing you're going to do is, in the upper left-hand corner, you're just going to put your scenario, and actually all you need to do is if you're using one of the stock scenarios that I gave you, just put the name of the leader, nice and big in the upper left on your poster. Right. What are we doing over? Oh, we're doing Milan, the middle manager over here. All right. All right, so here's what we're up to. So right under the leader's name, put the default style that you came up with. right? Are they coercive? Are they affiliatory? Are they coaching? Just go ahead and put that right under their name. And here's the rub. To really be effective, leaders need to learn to use more than one style. Now, it's really difficult. I like John's holding up 6. He's like, you need all 6. Boy, that would be awesome. In reality, like getting good with a couple, 2, 3 of these styles is, for most of us, is a real challenge. Just being able to recognize that there are other styles and you could make a conscious choice to take a different approach than your native standard approach is a huge step. And so what we're going to do here is you're going to analyze this change that your leader is guiding, and you're going to annotate that curve with Post-it notes to identify which leadership styles do you think would be most effective for that particular leader at that point in the change curve. And as it says up here in the instructions, you don't have to use all of the styles. You could use one style more than once, but you are going to annotate your curve. So discuss and debate with your teammates and decide, try moving Post-it notes around and see what feels right. All along your curve. So I'm going to turn you loose, give you about,
At the beginning.
what am I giving you? I'm going to give you like 10 minutes on this one. And then we're going to share our results. All right, so here's where the fun really begins. Who wants to share their poster with the group and walk us through it? Who's feeling good about their poster? All right. Should we go back? Let's all go back. Let's get up and let's walk over there because it's like whatever time it is, and we've been sitting. And come on over. Let's walk over here. Apparently, there's one last Coca-Cola. You really need some caffeine. All right. So, who wants to be our spokesmodel?
Okay. Well, first of all, we're in a super collaborative group. I have to say, we really agreed on things very easily, which was nice. No. What makes you think that? Anyhow, so we agreed that Cindy, if she's a smart CEO, will initially use the affiliated style to really gather information, build trust, collect everything she needs to have people respect her and just be willing to follow her. As she then moves into the change curve or phase, she needs to be a little bit authoritative. By that point, she's developed her strategy, so she needs to convince people that she knows what she's doing, she's got a clear path forward. As they're going, and it was funny because Larry here made a very smooth change curve because our CEO is so awesome that she uses pace setting and coaching, so we don't have the typical friction of digital transformation. And so she kind of sets the tone, she leads by example, but then she coaches people through change because people don't like change. And so she uses her EQ abilities to really get them there. As they go up through the practice and the integration, she sometimes will have to be authoritative and just set the tone and also set the pace and say this is what we need to do to get there to this new state as well. She acts as a pace setter, but she also uses coaching to help people through the new change.
I think I want to work there. All right, who's next? All right, we'll follow you. Lead us over there. For those with Fitbits, you're getting some steps here. This is good. All right.
So, Cindy, the new CEO, right? We started because the base is at status quo. So she's coercive, And she is coming into the phase of where it is chaos. So at that time, they need coaching and the team need authoritative to move along. And then business is going to an inflection point where the transformation is happening, and at that time, the business is going on an upward trajectory.
All right. Does anyone need somebody other than Cindy? If anyone just, okay, what you doing? Take us there. All right. It's the next table here. Oh.
Oh yeah, so we had Tom, the tech leader, that we decided that was a pace setter. And as you can see, we're starting from pace setting and we get back to the new status quo. That's the same thing. And we thought the story was such that he kind of ended up mandating what the change was based on his background and technical leadership or skills, and he had to use a bit force and go with the authoritative way to cause some chaos. We fixed the time warp here, and then to even out from the chaos, he got more into coaching mode to set the new status quo. And that's about it. We were thinking whether it was coercive or authoritative way that caused the chaos, but it could have been a mix of both. That's it.
Yeah, and I like the choice of pace setting for Tom, right? Like Tom, the tech lead, to me sounds very like a pace setter. Really awesome what he does. Right? Kind of inspires other folks to like try to, I want to be as good as Tom someday. Did anyone do to anybody else? Do we have an example of one of the other ones? You did Milan? Oh, let's hear about Milan. I'll look over there. All right. Oh, this was our democratic and affiliative, our democratic group, yeah. But then all liked affiliative.
Right. So Milan's affiliative started off at the beginning in the status quo being coaching and affiliative to get mindshare, that doing the Agile process is the right way to go. And then finally hit a point where, okay, we're going to do it. It's October. Everybody's on board. A few people aren't, but we're going to do it. And then coaching through the chaos to help everybody understand what's going on. We hit the point of transformation. Of course, everybody has a voice. The process is all good. And then pace setting up through the practice integration and the new status quo. And now Milan gets promoted.
All right, who else? We got time for one or two more. Who else wants to share their graph? Go once. Go twice. Oh, there we go. All right. Lead us. Follow the hand. I like this. This is good. I think we just had an example of pace setting leadership right here. It was like, I'm over here. Catch up with me.
We also started, the person we took is Milan, like the other table. However, we think Milan is authoritative by nature. And the status quo stage, he has to course for the change. Things are very chaotic. Coming down to coaching style, because we're transforming together with the team. And next when we start going up to be aligned, he's more democratic. For practice and integration stage, and towards the very end is affiliative, then that becomes our new status quo. So that's our view of Milan. Thank you.
Nice. Well done. So, one of the things I didn't see a ton of, and I like that it shows up here, is coercive. I tend to get a little nervous about thinking about coercive. Right? There was actually a really interesting conversation over there at the affiliative democratic table. What do you think about this coercive thing? I mean, they put it right at the tipping point of change. Does that feel like that would be appropriate?
So first, the general comment. We are hallucinating a whole pile of shit in a very tiny story.
Yes. Yes.
More a test of what's going on in your kid than it is in terms of reality. But having said that, thank you. So, but coercive is in fact what a lot of people actually experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Why, a lot of people want to escape coercive, right? But it turns out that that we in our system actually live in coercive. Well, look at this thing of how necessary we agree pretty with a lot of what the other people said, so we thought case study was initial. But we believe that in the steady state commons course, and we can use one battle and do it.
Could be, right? I mean, what's interesting is for these personas, there's not a right or wrong answer. Like any of these personas could show up with any of these six as their default style. It can be reasonable when we're initiating big change to leading up to it, doing a lot of affiliative stuff and authoritative stuff, right? Where it's like, I have this vision, right? And getting people to go, oh, that's a really good vision, right? That person's an authority on where we should be going. We're starting to believe in their vision. But it's rare that you're going to get 100% buy-in. And so it may well be useful right at that tipping point moment to be like, and we're doing it now. This is the date where it all like begins. It can be useful. It's a useful tool, but be careful because it is a dangerous tool, right? You don't want to pull that one out of your toolbox too often because it's how you alienate people, right? It's how you end up with people who are like, oh, this job sucks. And one of the truisms I hear, especially in this community, this engineering leadership community, is that by and large, people don't leave jobs. People leave managers, right? And this is a good way to be that manager that people leave, right? Is using this tool too often. What do you got, Will? I can just feel it over here. I mean, like,
one of the things that hasn't been mentioned is that while this curve might exist, the how big it is very, very like changeable, right? Like you can take lots of small things and move up quickly, or you can take a whole bunch of change at once and go through a really deep valley. And so that strikes me as very important.
Yeah. And it's a curve. When I first put this up there, I failed to kind of check in with people. But it's a curve that I am sure all of you have been through. Right? Think about the big changes that you've made in your life. Right? Going off to college, getting married, getting unmarried, right? Having kids, leaving a job. Right? I bet you went through that whole curve. Right? It's like, oh, I gotta get out of this job. I hate it. It sucks. And you finally pull the trigger, and then you're like, oh no! What have I done? Right? Will I ever get another job ever? And then, all right, where am I going next? We've done the sharing. We've talked about that we can, the goal here is not to, like I say, it's not to pick the best style. What's useful about these models, especially mashing them up this way, is first becoming aware of well, what is my default style? Right? Like if you really read the descriptions, it's like, where do I land? Because self-awareness is where it all starts. And then from there, cultivating a sense of, in any given situation, is it possible that one of the other styles would serve me better than my default? And that's really where, really amazing leaders start to separate themselves from, the serviceable leaders, right? Because when I can be more flexible, This also aligns very well with a book that some of you might really enjoy called Leadership Agility. And similar concept, it's about leaders cultivating a variety of styles that are situationally dependent. Comments, thoughts, questions?
I think also what we're doing is really on assumptions to character, right? A little paragraph or speaking on things like that. I'm trying to get this all day.
Yeah, yep. Yeah, that's kind of what, the only place any of us can come from, really. Oh, yes, sir.
CEO is not going to change amongst all these six heads as the project progresses. Right? He's going to be like his personality would be one of, I mean, it would be like a set of combination of 3 or 4 things or something like that. Right? He's not going to be very assertive in the beginning and then be all democratic towards after some time. Right?
It's very unlikely that someone would very strongly cultivate all 6. I mean, it would be amazing, right? But it's very unlikely. A more realistic goal is to, like I say, identify, well, where's my style? What's my default style? And then, can I cultivate 1 or 2 others so that when the need arises, I can go there. So yeah, I think it's unreasonable to think that someone, even a great CEO, would have a good command of all 6 styles. I agree. Yes, sir.
Different employees react to different styles.
Yes.
And have one style that you use for other.
Yes, absolutely agree. Other thoughts, comments, questions?
Follow-up for a comment, we were making a change, like this for a change in corporate culture. And the group is going to push back. If the corporate culture we share values, and you say, okay, all you believe is the wall, I'm going to change, and that's where you get the chaos. The enterprise, the group are going to push back at it, and almost doesn't matter what your style is, the style has to cope with that. Until you can finally get enough going around from people's ideas, open the mind.
But that's exactly what the model is trying to say. Regardless of style, you're going to that curve.
Yeah.
You have to recognize that as an organism, the culture will push back against,
it values the culture, even bad or good, whatever it is. And it will push back, creating the chaos. Yeah. And to pile on that, very often we change agents see the prevailing culture as a problem. And this happens to me all the time. I was at a client today, and I was like, oh my God, they've got a really problematic culture. Right? They really value these things that aren't so good. And trying to change culture is really hard. It's really, really hard. And sometimes it's what's necessary. Very often it turns out that to change a group culture requires either a change in the leader, either the person fundamentally transforms something about themselves, or we bring in a different leader. Because culture does tend to flow down.
The fish runs from the head.
Yeah. That's really true. It's really, really true. In the work that I do, right, so I'm this Scrum transformation guy, and one of the patterns I found is in an organization where, say, top leadership isn't necessarily involved or bought in or 100% behind it, a strong leader at some intermediate level can create a bubble underneath them that can be very, very successful. But then if that leader moves, then that whole section of the organization and the different culture that they have becomes very much at risk as it is different than the prevailing culture around them. So one approach is try to do this hard work to change culture. And sometimes it's the right thing and it works. Years ago, Israel, I'm not saying his name right, taught me a different approach, which was basically don't try to change the culture, leverage it. Right? What is it that these people actually value, and how can we leverage that to get different behaviors that that are still aligned with their culture, but now with the behaviors that are going to serve this change that we need. And that can be even more challenging. Because a lot of times we change agents come with our notion of what will be a better culture. And that's a tough hill to climb. So excellent, thank you. Other thoughts, comments, questions? Yes?
So I would say that every company's culture comes from vision, right? What is company's vision, mission, statement, what they stand for. And that over the period determines the culture. So as everyone said, that it's hard to change the culture. And you have to go through a lot of resistance, right, to do that. So how do you find balance, all of that, and still lead to the case, in this case of transformation? I guess that becomes a key, right, when you are a leader.
One of the things that I found is effective, so the question was, given how hard that is, like how do you still be effective as a leader? And one of the things that I found to be effective is first, before you like try to enroll them in your solution, right? Oh, I got this change, we're going to do Scrum, or whatever it is. First, you have to solve the problem. Because if you can get people to agree that, oh yeah, right here we have a problem with delivery, or hitting dates, or retaining good talent, or quality, whatever it is, if you get people on board that yes, we have this problem, then you actually have an opportunity to start to have the discussions, and you could use the democratic and the ability to be even authoritative at that point to start to socialize potential solutions and get people on board. It's longer and slower than being kind of more coercive pace setting kind of, this is what we're going to do. But it does have potentially a much better chance for lasting success. Because if you can get people to buy into, yeah, we do have a problem, and to see that there's something in it for them if they change their behavior. Now we're starting to get there.
I think you actually go ahead and get
I think she's oh. So we'll do your follow-up, and then the mic's coming back over here, because you have a question.
I think you have to go with it. I agree with that. I think people have to understand the problem, understand why they try to change. But also, you have to start with trust building. When you start with the affiliate leadership style, you have to build relationship first, so that people will follow you. If you have got their trust as a leader, they will do these things that might not always seem logical to them in the beginning, because they may not always understand the full business strategy. So it's all about personal relationship and trust building, I think.
Yeah.
And I call that secure-based leadership.
Here. All right, any question?
So I think both of your assets really, really deep thought on that. I totally agree. And I think we can have a shared leadership, or like so everyone having like different types of leadership style, obviously. And my question is, so when there's a split opinion, which is happening in line professional things, so how that, and as well as how we can grow, having more different dimensions kind of leadership style. I know very intentionally to really adapting different types of style, which make us grow more fully. Okay.
So I think the question is, let me see if I got it right. I'm not 100% sure here. If we have multiple people who are leaders, and they do not have alignment or agreement about what's the best way forward, how do we deal with that? Yeah, that one's really interesting, right? And the worst thing we can do is plow ahead, right? With each leader leading in the direction that they think is the right way. And gosh, I've seen this, right? This is how you get like factories inside of a company, and the marketing group's doing this, but engineering's over here, and products doing that, and we're just, so how to resolve it? Boy, that's hard. Again, I tend to try to come back to finding common values, and by that I mean like, what is it that we value? What is it that we all value? And because our differences very often can be traced back to we think we have disagreements about what is the right path to get somewhere, but underlying it, hopefully, We're all trying to accomplish the same thing at some level. And so it's about trying to find what is that common level that we do have agreement on, and then fostering the conversations and the negotiations and whatever has to happen to try to get alignment. Now, it's very situationally dependent, because sometimes we want to do all that work and get, work through all the messy stuff to get the alignment. And sometimes, right, if we're more in a crisis mode, we actually need something that's more short-term, direct, and a little bit more brutal. So it's either like a coercive leader who comes in and says, no, right now we have to do this, right, because our financing runway is only one more quarter, and if we don't have something to show, the whole company shuts down. So I don't have time to build a consensus about what's the best way forward. Sometimes it's as brutal as figuring out that, these two people are so fundamentally different in their approaches, or their fundamental values are actually compatible, that one of them have to go. Because we're not going to be able to be effective as a leadership team with these two people with these really fundamentally different worldviews. And it's not that one is right and one is wrong, but it's like we have to find something that we can all anchor on so that we can work together. And fundamentally, the things we're anchoring on are very opposed. It's going to be really hard to have us work effectively together. And that's a tough call to make, simply because very often the unpopular person is actually a canary in the coal. Like their different view is actually really, really valuable. Right? One of the ways we drive off the cliff is we get a bunch of people who all think they're really the same and say, oh, we've got great alignment. And we've all got the same blind spot too. Okay? And so this stuff is really hard. I wish I could just say, here's what you do, here's the answer. Is that at least helpful? Are we talking about the right stuff?
It's actually applied critical thinking. This solution definitely work for many kind of situation, like for example in marriage. I'm single.
I said so. Just a quick follow-up. You're talking about two people who have different values, which is a little bit, it's a conflict because you think that if you're part of an organization and a leader, you have the same values as the organization. So if they're not aligned in terms of value, then it's a bigger issue than, so I just want to explore your thoughts on that in terms of if it is not a value issue, but still people are not, having butts, what might it be?
Yeah, so if it's not a core value difference, it really is more of a tactical, we have different ideas about the approach, then we either want to really have the conversations and spend the time to look at each other's positions and eventually find a decision, or it's super useful if before we got to this impasse, we had somebody who came in and did some awesome coaching with us that helped us create some decision-making agreements. What style of decision do we need for various kinds of decisions? Some decisions we might decide, this actually needs to be unanimous. If we don't have consensus, we're not going to move forward with these things. I work with Scrum teams all the time. I urge them to make accepting a story into a sprint, saying yes, we commit to delivering it, a consensus decision. If we don't have everybody on board, we can't say yes. Same thing with is that story done? Ooh, if the whole team doesn't say it's done, then that's not strong enough for us. Other decisions we may decide, we're doing this. Other decisions we may say, you know what, we have an expert on our team. We've got Goleman, and he's a technical expert. And when the team can't agree about some technical decision, then at the end of the day, we are pre-authorizing who will have the final call because we respect his authority. So having these agreements about what type of decision tools are we using for different types can be super useful, because then if two people don't agree what we've agreed ahead of time, that for decisions in this area, person A has the ultimate authority. If we all can't get along, they get to make a call, but in this other area, person B does. it gives us a way to get through that, and even those people who didn't get their way are like, okay, but we followed the process, the way of working that we had all agreed to, including me. That tends to work well. Yeah.
So obviously when you have these outliers, whether it's shared values or shared viewpoints, whatever it is, they can be a pain in the neck. So in the end of the day, the team will perform better, will come up with more critical thinking and creative solutions if you have outliers and then challenge the status quo.
Yes.
I think that's quite important what you said, that you have beforehand a methodology and the whole agreement be reached, but hear these diverse voices. It's very difficult to lead diverse teams, but if you know how to do it, it's very powerful.
Yes. And Paula's got her hand up, and she's got a little handout in her hand that I saw earlier. And happened to know it was pretty cool. I don't know if you raised your hand to tell us about it, but cool. Would you tell us about it?
So, in addition to the leadership styles, I think you have to manage the change, and this is complex change, right? So, whenever I've led a change, I try to look at a couple of different things. So, one is what's the resistance, and how do I manage it, and what are people's personal concerns? And so, using the concerns-based adoption model, there's what are the concerns? And in order for us to get to impact, we have to get past the personal concerns and the management concerns. So I put together a handout that has that information on it. The other one is that Noster has come up with a model that says when you're managing complex change, there's 5 components that you have to have in order to get success. If any one is missing, then you're going to have some issues. You may have frustration. And so this model up here tells what those are, and then you can diagnose and start to address that. So I have some of these handouts that you're welcome to take, and it has my contact information. But I think managing the change, so when you're going through that chaos, diagnosing why are we in so much chaos and what can we do at that point to try to address that can help us get through it a little bit easier.
Ooh. All right. Last call. Who's got something? Oh, Sean's got something.
Thank you. I just wanted to point out that change has time frames, and very often you make people changes in anticipation of structural changes. And you have to plan that out really well, because I've known many people who were specifically hired to change the culture, and then a recession came along to cripple them. So they would be automatic, right? And so you have to say, okay, I have to bring them in, I have to get existing players to understand that they have a valid point of view, and that's a dialogue that takes many months to happen, right? And then they have to be able to be in a position to propose and change. You have to be able to see it through, go through this whole thing, right? So in many cases, I know that it was a great boom time. At the end of the boom time, they managed to get the hire they finally wanted, right? And then it turns out that everything, now we need heads, our nose to the grindstone, move forward, we're not deviating on anything, and we don't have time for any new ideas, and you, the recent hire, are the hot man.
It happens. It happens. People are messy, and they only get messy when people are big groups of people. All right, so I'm going to wrap up this bit. Let's see, lessons I want to leave you with. I mentioned what I do for a living is help companies adopt Scrum. I also teach Scrum Master and Product Owner workshops. If such a thing would be useful to you, there are some handouts at the sign-in table and a discount code for our upcoming workshops. I've enjoyed this evening and this time with you. I hope it's been valuable for you, and I'm really grateful for the opportunity to come and hang out with all of you. Yeah, there's the flyers. Kimberly's got them. And so thank you.
Silvio, homework for